Xi Jinping. And that means Xi Jinping is gearing up for a fight. You can get a sense of where things are going by little hints in Chinese state-run media. Take this front page of the People's Daily. Xi Jinping, big front and center, surrounded by business leaders, telling them to be more patriotic. And then way down here with a small picture is State Council Premier Li Keqiang, who is nominally number 2 in the party. Li Keqiang is not in Jiang Zemin's faction, but it's long been rumored that Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang do not get along, and they're both trying to undermine each other. It's like a mini side power struggle. Like, for example, Xi Jinping having a big meeting with business leaders when Li Keqiang is supposed to be in charge of the economy. And here's a section on the state-run Xinhua website that's just for reports on Xi Jinping. Wow, look at that. After China was shut down for the coronavirus. But while Xi Jinping was talking about how great everything is, Premier Li Keqiang was talking about how terrible everything is. He said 600 million Chinese people earn only $140 a month. That's not enough to pay for rent on a one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city. So we're getting very different messaging from two top leaders of China. But on top of that power struggle, there's also the bigger, ongoing power struggle between Xi Jinping and Jiang Zemin. Top officials have announced a purge of the PLAC, the Political and Legal Affairs Commission. That's China's massive security apparatus that was backed by Jiang Zemin's guy, Zhou Yongkang, who is basically a human thwomp. Xi Jinping purged Zhou Yongkang 5 years ago, and then replaced him with his own protege, Chen Yixin. This month, Chen hosted a meeting to describe what he calls the cleansing campaign. The PLAC teams in the whole country are impure, unjust, and lack executive force. Some members even violate law and discipline. They are bad horses, have bad impact, and have done great damage. We have to turn the blade to face ourselves in order to treat the problem. Animal Farm. Now, Chen said there were 6 groups that would be targeted. PLAC officials who interfere in the judicial system, who operate companies, who own shares of private companies or lend money with interest, whose spouses or children operate illegal business, who release prisoners early after being bribed, and who control criminal cases. Violations of discipline and the law. The other was Fu Zhenghua. They were both promoted by a former PLAC chairman, Meng Jianzhu. Meng himself was a key player in Jiang Zemin's faction. So why is the purge of the PLAC happening now? Well, coming up in August is the party leadership's annual summer meeting at the beach resort of Beidaihe. Think of Beidaihe as the Chinese Communist Party's executive corporate retreat. You know, lots of relaxing back-funding website, Patreon. Heiss asks, is Jiang still in power behind the scenes? That's an important question, Heiss. So Jiang is like 93 years old, or possibly 903, and he's not in the best of health. He literally has to be carried around. So I don't know if he's still personally calling many of the shots. However, believe it or not, he didn't build his political clique by attracting people with his charming personality. Jiang Zemin was able to seize power by building a massive system outside the law to persecute Falun Gong. That's the meditation practice that used to be very popular in China before Jiang tried to kill them all. If you wanted to be promoted, you had to take part in Jiang's anti-Falun Gong campaign. But that also meant you had blood on your hands. And there was lots of money involved, including massive amounts of corruption. Which means you could lose everything if that all comes out. So you have to remain loyal, because if Jiang Zemin goes down, you go down too. So because all of Jiang's people have this shared crime, they're all fighting against Xi Jinping to save themselves and their money. And that's largely what drives the Jiang faction today. Thanks for your question, Heiss.